right, welcome back, everyone. We are trying something new today. I have just finished watching the brand new MCU Marvel Studios Disney Plus series, Moon Knight. The first episode dropped today, March 30th, and it's pretty fucking cool. So if you're looking for, someone to break out every Easter egg and point out every reference and this and that, that's not what I'm doing. You can go check out New Rockstars or Screen Rant, and they'll have all of that stuff for you. I am looking to talk about the concepts and content itself of the show and what that means to somebody who is a fan of what's going on, isn't too sure of what's up with the comic books, and has no idea about these characters. So I'm being introduced to these characters for the very first time. So with that being said, that's the perspective we're taking. I'm not going to be analyzing, how they went from the source material, anything like that. But I just want to bring you through the episode, and we'll talk about what happens. So the episode opens on Ethan Hawke's character doing a little bit of a ritual. He's got, it looks like he's taking a shot from a shot glass, and then he's got his a cane with two heads of crocodiles on the side. Takes a shot, smashes the glass, and then puts the glass into his sandals. Yes, his sandals, and walks out like that. And so it sets the tone of it's a dark tone. And it has, if you have seen the Da Vinci Code and you remember the scene of the guy whipping his back with the self-flagellation, I think flagellation is specifically has to do specifically with striking. I don't know why I think that, but I think that is the case. So I don't think this counts as self-flagellation, but I could be wrong about that. Either way, dude's walking around with glass in his shoes. So hardcore dude. That's definitely what's going on. The music choices were good. I think they were a little on the nose. It was a Bob Dylan song to start, and then during the one of the chase scenes, it's "Wake Me Up Before You Go," and not sure if it's a dream and all this stuff. So the song choices are a little on the nose, but I think they pull it off. But I always prefer a score to a soundtrack. So I'm not really I'm meh on that. So we see this guy, Ethan Hawke's character, go through this ritual, do the thing, set up his shoes, go, and then he walks off screen. So that's one thing. Then we cut to our main guy, who we later find out to be Stephen Grant, is in bed, wakes up apparently from a bad dream. Was that part, or maybe that was later, but he wakes up, and now we're getting some character development on him. You can see he's got like a mental hospital grade ankle strap on his ankle, strapped to the bed. He's also got sand all around his bed, like a moat, and then he puts blue painter's tape over the crack in his door, and he's got like 7 different locks. So if you, from watching the trailers and understanding what Moon Knight is going to be, we know that this is has to do with this guy who has a dissociative identity disorder, used to be called multiple personality disorder, and he is, trying to figure out what part of him is real, and I guess part of that is going to be Moon Knight. Again, I haven't read the comics, so I don't know. Ooh, went down the wrong pipe there. So anyway, we see all this morning ritual. We go from the Ethan Hawke ritual to this type of ritual. And we first see Stephen get up and go to feed his fish, a one-finned fish named Gus, a goldfish. And so he's talking to him, and then he's on the phone with his mom, and it just gets this feeling like he's very lonely. The way that he talks to Gus, as if some people would talk to their kids. Not necessarily to the degree that he would be talking to a wife or a significant other, but like you can tell he has a camaraderie with this fish, and that is it seems to be there because or to show us just how lonely this guy is. That the peak of his socialization at home, at least, is with a goldfish. So that, kind of sets the tone there. And then being on the phone with his mom, he kind of the way that he's talking, you're not really sure if it's he's leaving a voicemail or if he's actually talking to anyone. And he just said, just ends it with later Gators and just hangs up. So again, I'm not too sure. And that comes back again later. So I'm not sure if he's actually talking to anyone. So, he's while all of this is going around, he's going through throughout his house and throughout going to work. There's lots of reflections, and we can see multiple reflected things. That's definitely a nod to the dissociative identity disorder. So we follow him to his job at I don't know if it's the museum in London, and they've got a bunch of Egyptian stuff, an Egyptian exhibit. He walks up to some young girl that puts trash on one of the pyramids and doesn't admonish her, but just kind of like, oops, that doesn't go there, and starts up a conversation like, oh, check out how cool this is. And so it kind of like gives you the feeling that, oh, he's there, he's at work, so he must be a tour guide. And then very quickly, his boss comes in and shoos him away. But before that happens, he's having this conversation at a sarcophagus about what they would do when a pharaoh would die, and that they would get rid of everything, all the organs, but leave the heart, because they believed that you needed your heart to be judged to go through the field of reeds, which I guess would be the Egyptian version of the pearly gates. And the girl is just standing there and then asks him if he was upset that he didn't make it. And it's like, he's like, wait, I'm not, well, obviously not, I'm not dead, which is just a weird thing, all more weird stuff going in. And so that goes nowhere. Like I said, his boss comes in and, you're not the tour guide, you're just the gift shop guy. That's what he does. He works at the gift shop. So he's, getting this we're getting this feeling of just a lonely small guy. And I don't mean physically, but I mean his impact in the world. He just doesn't, he's just doing what he does, and doesn't really make many waves. He just goes to work, does his thing, goes home, feeds his fish, leaves voicemails, or talks to his mom, and that seems to be his whole existence. But then this cute girl walks by, apparently working at the museum as well, and it's like, we're on for tomorrow at 7, right? And he's like, tomorrow 7. He's like, yeah, we're going on a date. Apparently, he asked her out on a date. So my first question then was, who asked her out on a date? Again, we already know we're going into this dissociative identity disorder thing. But if you think about the types of things that Stephen uses, the things like when he goes to bed, the ankle thing, the sand, all of that stuff, it shows us that he is somewhat in control of what's going on. And so then when randomly this girl asks about a date that apparently he had initiated, it throws you off, because it's like, well, how did you not know? If you asked, clearly it has something to do with the DID, but like, what's going on there? So she's a little, he plays it off cool enough that she doesn't really make much of it, and she's like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow, whatever. But the boss, after not calling him by the wrong name, comes up to him and like, wow, I didn't think you had it in you to take a crack at her, or whatever the English slang was. And he's like, yeah, I didn't either. And so like it all then actually, so all of this is leading up to a more boyish characteristic of Stephen. And so we have the loneliness that we've seen before, but there's also an aspect of him just being a boyish guy, in the sense that he's not very manly. He's got not a lowly job, but it just, he's a meek guy. And that goes further in the next scene when he's talking to his boss. Apparently he was late. He's fallen asleep on the train because he's trying to stay awake all night. and we see more of that later as well. But yeah, he's just getting admonished for being late, and he again same kind of tone. You know, he's apologetic, but just very like, oh my goodness, I know, oh, and then he goes to point out, hey, there's this the banner that they have to hang up for this Egyptian exhibit. It's supposed to have 9 gods or deities, but there's only 7 here. And the boss is just like, I don't care. Just hang it up and go back and do the inventory. So again, just kind of like a childlike wonder and curiosity, and almost like a child would be like, well, actually, that's not the. And when really everybody's like, nobody cares. This is a business. This is what marketing sent over. Hang it up. I don't give a shit. So that's kind of the characteristic we get of Steven. Then when it shows after his shift, he's outside talking to what looks like a gold statue, and I'm not sure if they intentionally made it tried to make it seem like it was a real statue, or if it was implied that it was just one of those guys that's out like in New York or Vegas or LA, that they paint themselves in gold or silver and they act to be statues, and then they that one of those kind of guys. He didn't do that. So again, I'm not sure if they are trying to make people think that it is a statue, and then later it comes out that it's not. But then somebody asked to he gives him a tip, and then somebody asked Steven to take a picture of them with the statue, and then Steven's like, don't forget the tip, to the guy in his hat. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. But again, they spent enough time on it where it's like, okay, there's something going on here. But first episode, so we're gonna have to see what's going on with that. So then we go back, and that seems to be an entire day of Steven's life, just waking up, undoing all his nightly things, going to work, working the gift shop, coming home, and that's it. He gets into bed, and he gets into bed, and he starts playing this like the opposite of a sleep hypnosis type of tape. And it's just like, staying awake. Have you tried reading a book or doing a puzzle? And just goes into a montage of him doing a bunch of stuff and showing that, again, aside from being lonely and boyish, that he is also sleep deprived. We saw him falling asleep on the bus on his way to work. And so, all this picture of who is Steven is coming together. So that's the first act, and it's a lot of a character development for, I think that's like the first 15 20 minutes. He's trying to stay awake, he's doing reading, he goes into the doing that montage of stuff that he's doing while he's not sleeping, and then very quickly it cuts to him just in a field, like messed up jaw, bloody all over, and he has no idea what's going on. And we hear this disembodied voice, you don't belong here, worm. And he calls him a worm. Like, okay, all right, what's going on here? People start shooting at Steven, and he's like, what is going on? So he starts running, and he runs into a village, and then there's a bunch of people in the village crowding around the Ethan Hawke character that we saw in the beginning. And so he goes to blend in with the people. Then we watch with Steven as we find out that this lady calls him Harrow, the Ethan Hawke character, but he says, call me Arthur. And she wants to be judged. So apparently he has this tattoo of like scales of justice. And this holding, you'd have the two things, and then what's holding that up look like two crocodile heads, the same as the top of his cane. So the top of his cane is it's like a T shape, the whole cane. And so apparently this guy Arthur can judge on behalf of Ammit, the Egyptian god, who is worthy and not worthy. So he holds onto her wrists, and they kind of put their arms out like that and have the edges of the cane resting, and then it swings back and forth. And I guess then Ammit, the god, judges whether you're worthy or not. And apparently this lady was not worthy. So she was instantly mummified. And she was like, I've lived a great life. I didn't do anything. And he's like, well, I believe you, is what Arthur says. He's like, I believe you, but Amit sees all, and it may, perhaps it's something that lies ahead, is the quote that he used. So this all goes down. Lady's mummified and carried away, and everybody in the crowd seems to be totally on board with this. So clearly, he's the rituals that we saw in the beginning, and the judging practice and all this stuff is something they see him as some sort of guru, or someone who is spiritually relevant. So then one of the guys who was shooting at Stephen when he was running before he found this situation goes up to Arthur, and he's like, there was an issue, and 2 of our guys died. And so Arthur gives the command, or Arthur gives a command. He yells, he says out something. I don't know what it was, but it signals everyone to kneel down. And so because Stephen doesn't know this, he's the only one standing. And Arthur asks him, will you return the scarab? Like, what the fuck is a scarab? And we earlier saw Stephen pull this thingy out of his pocket. We didn't really know what it was. And it's like this, it looked like a beetle brooch. Gold and if you can imagine Egyptian type aesthetic, that's the scarab. That's what he's talking about. So Stephen's like, yeah, dude, I don't know what the hell's going on. Is this yours? Like, yeah, I'll give it to you. So he goes to reach out, and then we hear the disembodied voice again going, you will give him nothing. And it takes over his body. He's trying to open his hands, like, I don't know what's going on. My fingers are like frozen. I can't open my hands. And he opens his hand. And Arthur goes for it, and then Stephen swings his arm back. He's like, "I'm not doing that. I swear, I don't know what's going on." Like, I don't. Then we see a flash, and the screen kind of does like to signal that clearly consciousness is changing. And to Stephen, it's just a flash, and to us at this point, it's just a flash. It's just a flash. Something happens. We don't really know what, but after that, we zoom in on Stephen's face. And we get the flash, and it's like, and then it zooms back out. The henchman is dead and bloodied behind him, and Stephen is holding the scarab in a bloody hand. The voice immediately says, "The idiot is back." So clearly, we still have no clue what's going on, but we know that Stephen is not the type of person to be in this world. He has no idea what's going on. But there's this disembodied voice that knows what's going on and doesn't really think very highly of Stephen. He calls him a worm, he calls him an idiot. Stephen's just apologetic and confused, taking on that boyish sentiment that we were talking about before. So this is, Arthur and his henchmen guys are still around. So this is all still happening. And Stephen's got to get out of there. So he steals a cupcake truck. He gets in a truck, and this leads to a dream. And he's driving down this windy road on a mountain. And it's actually a pretty cool scene. And he's just like, oh, this has to be a dream. This has to be a dream. Oh, my God. Then in that scene, I'm not really sure what exactly was going on. I know that they were trying to do something with the cinematography, but it was a little weird. It was not quite it seemed like they wanted to do one of those false long cuts where they have like a long take where they have a really long take, and there'll be a couple stitch moments where they actually do cut, but when you watch it, it looks like one long take. But they didn't really do that, so I'm not sure what the choices were there. But it's a cool looking chase. And so he's driving around. They're going around. There's another flash while after one of the henchmen gets onto the cupcake truck and is about to grab Stephen. There's another flash, and then turns out Stephen's got a gun in his hand, all bloodied again, and the dude is dead, falling out the back of the truck. Then we hear the voice say, "Wake up, Mark." Mark? Who the fuck is Mark? This is Stephen. So then again, more confusion, and Stephen's like, who's Mark? What's going on? And then and the body's like, truck. There's a truck, like Final Destination style with all the logs on it, just jackknifes, and he gets by, but everybody behind him dead. Pretty violent for Disney. Not complaining. That was pretty violent for Disney. It was pretty cool. So there he's like, wow, that was close, still going, there's another flash, and the voice comes back afterwards. Again, we don't really know exactly what happened. We've cut a little bit more in time. And the voice calls him a parasite again. So again, we're seeing the disdain that this thing has for Steven. And then as he's driving down the mountain, he's about to get killed. There's guys right in front of him. They're pointing guns at him, and the logs from the truck that had crashed earlier come falling down the mountain and crush those dudes. That was awesome too. However, then right after that, you see Steven go to clench as if he's going to get crunched himself. But then, of course, he wakes up, and it was all a dream. So yeah, I mean, I definitely can relate to that. I don't know about you guys, but if whenever I do dream, I have the most intense dreams, and it's always some super harrowing situation, and it's not fun. Like, my dreams are never fun, and waking up after I've had a dream like that is like one of the most relieving things. So when I don't even know the actor's name, but when Steven wakes up and he's like, oh, that was all a dream, like, oh my God, I was right there. I was like, I totally relate, dude. So we go the next scene cuts to so there's another weird anomaly. Apparently this is a dream, that all that stuff was a dream, but Steven gets up, starts to go about his day, goes to feed Gus, and sees that Gus now has 2 fins. Fins just don't grow back. So what's that about? But, don't pay too much mind to it. He goes to the pet store, try to figure out what's going on, but he sees what time it is, and he realizes he's already late for this date with the girl at the museum. So he's like, whatever, let me go. He goes to get dressed, a little montage scene of that. And a really cool scene where he's looking in the mirror, and then he turns to his bathroom mirror, which is a triple mirror. It's got 3 panels, but each panel has, I don't know what you call it, like tapered ends. So you see about 6 or 7 different reflections of Steven in different sizes and different angles. And again, just another reference to the dissociative identity disorder, the fact that Steven apparently is also Mark and whatever this voice is, and who knows what else. So he gets dressed, whatever. He goes to the date. He's sitting there with flowers and chocolate, and he's waiting for the girl. And the waiter's like, still expecting somebody? So obviously he's been there for a while. And so he calls her, and she's like, oh, nice of you to call me. He's like, well, I thought we were going to eat steak at the steakhouse. And she's like, yeah, I did 2 days ago. Like, what are you talking about? We were supposed to meet on Friday. It's like, yeah, it's Sunday. He's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And she's just like, don't call me again. Obviously, she got stood up, so she's not happy about that. But he has realized that he just lost 2 days. Instead of because he was already surprised at how late it was. He's like, it's that late already? I just woke up. But it wasn't late that day. He lost 2.5 days. So and so now that brings the question, what's the deal with the dream? Was it a dream? Was it not a dream? Clearly, knowing where this series is going, obviously it wasn't a dream. Obviously, it has something to do with Mark and Moon Knight and whatever else is going on. But at this point, we don't know anything. We don't know anything. Then at the end of that scene at the steakhouse, they definitely make not too big of a deal. Let me put it this way: they spend an inordinate amount of time on, after Steven figures out that it's not Friday night, but it's Sunday night. He's then like, okay, actually, I'll get a steak, even though earlier they made a reference about how he's vegan. So when he orders the steak, the guy's like, okay, what cut would you like? He's like, the best bit, because he doesn't know what kind of cut to get because he's a vegan. He doesn't know that stuff. He doesn't know if he wants a ribeye or New York strip or a filet or whatever. How would you like it cooked? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And the waiter's like, yeah, I'll just do well done for you. Side note, if you've ever been a waiter, you never go well done by default. You always go medium because you can always cook up, but you cannot cook down. So if you're a waiter and somebody orders a steak and doesn't know what they want, put it in as medium. If it's too bloody, you can throw it back on the grill. So that took me out of the moment. But either way, it was odd that they spent so much screen time. There's 6 episodes. This one was 45 minutes. I think the others are a little bit closer to 50 minutes, but they spent a good like 4 or 5 minutes on this, maybe not 4 or 5 minutes, but like 2 or 3 minutes on him ordering a steak at a steakhouse and not knowing how to do it. I don't know what it means, but it definitely wasn't an accident. So cut 2, he's walking home and he's on the phone with his mom again and lying about how well the date went as he throws away the roses that he got for her. And again, it sounds a little bit, this one sounds more conversational, but again, not completely. And I kind of think that he is just leaving voicemails. Because again, the same thing. He's talking, and then just at the end, he's just like, "All right, later, Gators," and hangs up, and that's all he says. So I'm thinking that he's not actually talking to anybody, but we'll see where that goes. So we have this already sad, lonely dude. Then, after we get back with him at the apartment, not only is Gus gone. He goes to feed Gus and he's like, well, if you're Gus, I'm the queen of whatever. So that was, they did a very good job of showing how important Gus was to him. That was the like I said, the height of his socializing at home was his fish, and he would talk to him like that. So now that it's not that the fish is gone, but that there's another fish there. He's talking to it, but it's not hitting the same because he knows something's off. And then he's just sitting there eating chocolates and they're just really piling on like, oh, this is poor Mark. And you absolutely do sympathize with him. So then, after he follows him around the apartment a little bit and he drops something and he finds this weird mark on the floor that looks like the table has been moved. So he moves the table over. And he looks up and you can see that there's this wood panel, and he finds this little compartment with a cell phone and a key with some type of square marking on it. I don't know what it means, but that's what happened. And he's looking through the phone, and all the calls, the missed calls, are from someone named Layla, except for one from someone named Duchamp. I don't know what's going on. But then as he's looking, this Layla person calls him and recognizes, oh my God, where have you been? I've been calling and texting for months. I thought something had happened to you. And Stephen's just like, yeah, all right. And she's like, that's all you've been, what happened to you? And he's just like, I just found this phone in my flat. I'm trying to figure out who it is. She recognizes his voice because she's like, what's with the accent? Not, oh, sorry, who is this? What's with the accent? I was like, what accent? Again, this is an English dude. I'm not going to do an English accent. I probably could, but I'm not going to. He's like really confused. Again, what is going on? She tells him, Mark, I want you to stop playing games. Or what's wrong with you? Or that's what he says. He's like, who do you think I am? Like, what do you mean? Who do I think you are? Mark, what's going on? He's like, what did you just call me? Why did you call me Mark? And again, then we hear and then she hangs up. We again see him, Stephen, being super confused. Again, even more, as any of us would be. And the disembodied voice comes back. And what do we hear? You need to stop. It's like you're going to get yourself in trouble. So that's what the voice is telling him. So he's looking around the apartment confused. He's thinking, like, is there somebody here? Like, hello, who is that? He's looking around, opens the bathroom, and there's a circular mirror. He sees his own reflection, but it's dark. And he's looking, and the reflection kind of sways, even though he's standing completely still. He hits the light on and it's good. It's whatever. So and he's still trying to figure out what's going on. And then the lights flicker again. And the voice again says, stop looking. So Steven runs. He's just trying to get away from whatever. But he runs into the hallway, and the lights are flickering there too. So he gets onto the elevator, and of course, more mirrors in the elevator. When he pushes the ground floor, it goes down, and then it stops at the third floor. But there's nobody there. He's like, that's weird. Like, why is it stopping if nobody called for the elevator? So he pushes ground floor again, and then it stops at 2. And again, lights are still flickering. It's dark, and you can see this shadowy figure down the hall. And he's like, "What the fuck?" And almost like The Ring, like not like walking up, but gets up in his face real fast. And turns out, as it approaches, it's just this old lady, and he's like on the ground, like, "Oh my god!" And she's like, "All right." So she presses a button, and then the elevator goes to the 5th floor. Again, this is an elevator going down. That's gone from, he says again, so I guess he lives on the 5th floor, went down to the 3rd floor, then the 2nd floor. It's supposed to be going down, but then somehow ended up on the 5th floor again. The lady is like freaked out. This guy's acting weird. She just gets off, and she's like knocking on the first door, like, "Yeah, somebody help me." But she's kind of like, "Yeah, I know a friend. I have a friend who lives here," whatever. And Steven turns around, and the camera pans, and the figure dude is right behind him, or like right behind him. And then it pans back to Steven, but again he wakes up, and now he's just back on a bus, like he was earlier. He's on a bus to work. He is like, "Oh, thank God! I don't know what happened, but I guess that was a dream." Looks out the window, sees the figure again, and then a car passes it, and it disappears. He's like, "What the fuck is going on?" Gets to work, gets off the bus, and as the bus is moving by, he sees that Arthur, the guy from the dream, was on the bus. Just like, "Oh fuck!" So he runs in. He's trying to get security to be like, "Yo, don't want this guy in," but the dude doesn't really care, doesn't really like him, whatever. And eventually, they approach each other. So they're in this. They're in the back of this room with a bunch of Egyptian stuff, and Arthur approaches Steven. And Steven flags down the security guard, but the security guard shows his arm, and he's got the same scale tattoo that Arthur does, showing that the security guard is one of Arthur's people. She's like, "Damn, you too, bro?" So it's like, okay, I'm not going to fight you right now. We're just talking. Okay. So Arthur goes in, and he talks about Amit, the god, and judges humanity, and was tired of waiting for bad things to happen before taking action. So she takes into account the past, present, and future, and can judge and all that stuff. And so going back to the lady who was who died earlier and said she lived a good life, maybe it's something that lies ahead. Amit can see the entire timeline, and so for whatever reason, she was taken. And so Arthur's going on this tirade about how he could Amit could have stopped Pol Pot and Hitler, and again, Steven's just like, "Yeah, bad people. I don't know what's going on, dude. What's happening?" Then Arthur references the disembodied voice. So all this time, we're under the impression that Steven's the only one hearing it. But then when Arthur is like, "Oh, it's so weird when the voice, it's always wanting more," and da 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 da, and they again talking a little bit more exposition, and Arthur wants to judge Steven the same way he judged the lady earlier. There was also a guy that got judged, and he was deemed to be a good person, and nothing happened. So it can go either way. And apparently it's up to Amit, and Amit can see what you've done, what you're doing, what you will do, and we'll make that judgment. And if you end up being not so good of a person, then you get instantly mummified. So it's Steven's turn. And so they put their arms, he grabs Steven, puts his arms out, puts the cane there, starts swinging, and the tattoo starts going crazy. It's like going back and forth, and it cannot balance. It cannot find, where the, and so Arthur's just like, "There's chaos in you," which is an interesting phrasing when we think about the fact that there's such a thing as chaos magic in this universe. So that stuck out to me. It's there. We cut to later that night, Steven closing up the museum, and he's putting away some stuff, and then he hears what he thinks is a dog And like I said, really a dog in here? So he goes, tries to find the dog. And as he's looking around, we see like in the back, this huge creature that has a similar aesthetic to the figure that we saw before in the elevator. But that was more of like a person with a animal skull head. And this thing was more of like an animal skeleton, just creature. I don't know what the fuck these things are. And you hear Arthur's voice, "Give me the scarab and you won't be torn apart." He's like, what? And eventually Steven sees the creature and he goes to cower and whatever. And it chases Steven into the bathroom where there are what? Mirrors. So again, he's in the mirror. He's like, "Oh my God, this is a dream. I'm going to die. What's going on?" And then the reflection, Steven's reflection, then talks to Steven and says to him in an American accent, "You're not going to die. Let me save us." And then we get another kind of, it looks like it's going to flash, but it doesn't cut. And then we see the Moon Knight scene, the Moon Knight costume beats this, similar to the Daredevil scene where the camera is in the hallway and we see all the guys getting punched out the door. We don't actually see the fight. Similar thing happens with Moon Knight and the creature. We see Moon Knight. The camera goes back. We see Moon Knight. Cut to credits. So what I had hoped for this video, was to be able to use Disney Plus to share the screen and to be having pictures of what I'm talking about as I am talking about it. You can't do that with Disney Plus. You cannot share your screen while Disney Plus is open. Well, you can, but it just won't show you. So this is all I got for you right now. This is all I've got. I'm going to try to, hopefully I can cut this out and I will have cut and pasted some pictures from downloading the episode and filling that in. But sometimes I get an issue with downloading videos from StreamYard and then trying to edit them. So this may just go up as is. This may have been a little bit boring, going for 40 minutes, and I just talked straight for 40 minutes about what happened in the episode. You may as well just watch the episode if you're going to listen to me just talk about it. But for next week, if I continue to do this, then I will download the episode early enough so that by the time I am here, I will have visual aids and you're not just sitting here watching me for story time. But if you did, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I want to do more of this stuff. Like I said, I want to have more involved in it. But you got to start somewhere. So that was Moon Knight episode 1. Hopefully next week the adventure continues. That was cool, right? All right, guys, I am out. Peace.